Boom! It's gonna be a great night.
First, let me thank all of you so much for coming at this gorgeous place to enjoy the ocean and to listen to me and a few others. What those of you in the healthcare industry and those who are not understand that the current system dealing with anxiety, depression, and people committing suicide really is not working. The structure just isn't there. It really does not work. So our goal here is to give you a glimpse of how we're going to change that.
The Center for Disease Control tells us that suicide is the most preventable form of death. We know that every day in our community, when people have that moment of courage and are ready to ask for help, mental health care is not accessible. We know that families across our community who are worried, sick about a loved one who may be at risk for suicide don't have a place to turn for real help and real support. We also know that when people get help, when they get into therapy and they can talk about their suicidal thoughts, what seemed worth dying for a month ago no longer feels that way. On average, it takes 33 days from the time someone makes their initial behavioral health consultation appointment to the day that they walk into that appointment. So think about that. Think about how well that works for someone who is feeling hopeless, for someone who is in a mental health crisis. 33 days. We as a community can change that, and we are changing that at Here Tomorrow. We're partnering with a virtual therapy platform and local therapists. We're linking folks with therapy within 1 to 3 days.
Because a lot of people that don't know much about mental illness, behavioral health problems, the stigma is that, once an addict, always an addict, that people, when they're suffering from mental illnesses, they can't become productive and responsible members of society again. They'll always be in and out of the hospital. And I just want to I'm going to share a little bit about my private life so you can know that that's just not true. People that are seemingly in an incurable situation, all they might need is a little bit of love. And in my case, it came from a peer support specialist. But that position didn't exist yet. But this person was somebody who had been in my situation that I could identify with, and he had come out the other end, and he came out a lot better than he was when he went in. And it just lit a fire under my butt. And 7 years ago, I had begun to turn my life around. Usually, as a peer support person, I am the first person that people come into contact with when they're trying to get some help with what they're dealing with, and they're interested in maybe changing their lives. And in me, they see credibility. Because when I can sit down and I can share my story with them, I give them hope that their life is not over. It could be just the beginning.
The first step is to reduce barriers, like where to go, who to talk to, who to get help from, and who better than people who have had the lived experience are peer support specialists. What next? As we are waiting to find help, we want someone to walk with us. We want someone to be with us there all the time. We know that this is a person we can rely on, which again brings us to the peer specialist. And then the third part is to get help as soon as possible. Help that doesn't require people being put in handcuffs. Help that doesn't mean waiting in a corridor of an emergency room for hours and hours. Help that doesn't mean where people from all different kinds of mental health problems are put in one corridor, in one unit, right? And supposed to get better. So hopefully avoiding all of those things by finding outpatient help as soon as we possibly can. That's what we're here for.
And so right after that divorce, I said, you know what? I need to talk to someone. If you don't speak it out, you end up acting it out. And that was when I started really investing in a therapist, a psychiatrist. I'll never forget, I'm sitting with the psychiatrist, and we had like 6 meetings, and the psychiatrist diagnosed me with bipolar type 2, major depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder. And that was like the best day of my life, because it was like, you mean I'm the problem? That's awesome. Maybe it wasn't my parents. Maybe it wasn't my brother or teachers, coaches. Maybe it wasn't my wife. Maybe it's me.
If you want to go back about 3 years, when my son was suffering from depression, severe depression, and he would not, under any circumstance, go to a psychiatrist or anybody for help because that made him weak. That made him not a man. Teach me how to talk to him in the proper language so he can understand, so that I can help him. Because I don't understand. I don't. And he gave me a lot of words. He helped me. We worked on it. But at the end of the day, both my son Gary and I, we failed because Gary took his life. But I wasn't trained well enough. I tried my best to train up to do that. Mo had told me in one of our board meetings that, Joe, you actually were the first peer specialist that we had. You just didn't have enough time to become what you needed to be. And from that, we've pushed forward to develop something that we call a recovery peer specialist, someone who is certified, someone who can work with these people, who can help them to truly can make them be here tomorrow.